And I am the creator of Chronicle of Our Kings. As you've probably heard me say several times before, I created this. It's a passion project because I felt compelled to help with spreading a new narrative, creating a new narrative for our young men and for our people. Today's discussion was on financial literacy. Please watch, please take notes, and please share with someone who needs to hear everything that they are talking about. I'm blown away by all the information, and you will be too. Thank you.
All right, so we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to another recording. Well, honestly, guys, actually worked for the roundtable, but this Chronicle of Our Kings roundtable, financial literacy in the Black community. And we are here with Miss Monica Matthews and Pastor Curt Buckmire, Miss Candace Blanks and her husband Reginald Blanks, Delon Paul, and Miss Nikki. And we are just going to go ahead and get started. But before we get started, I'd like to go around the room so that you all can introduce yourselves to the audience. So I'll start with Miss Monica. Let everybody know who you are.
Hey everybody, I'm Monica Matthews Smith, and thank you, Shirley, for having me.
And Miss Monica, what do you do? What are you?
I am.
I know you do a lot of things, but
yeah, it's under one brand though. So I am the owner and CEO of Rich Chick 360, which is a business development training hub for Christian women entrepreneurs. So follow me at Rich Chick 360 on here on Facebook.
All right. And then Miss Candace and Mr. Reginald, introduce yourselves to everybody.
Hello, my name is Candace Blanks, and I am actually a licensed minister, a motivational speaker, and I'm also a financial service representative. And so I'm just excited, and this is my husband.
How everybody doing? My name is Reginald Blanks. I'm an owner of CL Graphics. We do printing and graphics, any marketing, branding, that's what we do. That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. That's not it. Graphics is a big deal. Pastor Curt.
Hi, my name is Curt Buckmire. Curt Buckmire. I'm the senior pastor of Spirit and Truth International Worship Center. We're in Loganville, Georgia. Just excited to be here. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Miss Nikki.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nikki Branch. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of Women for the Culture, which is a meeting place for women of color to shop, learn, explore, grow.
All right. And Miss Lacole?
Yes, hi. My name is Brumfield, and I started my own business called Right Plan Follower. And pretty much I just help families get out of debt, build their credit, and different stuff like that. And I designed an organized financial organizer. And I'm just thankful to be here.
I'm thankful to have you. And then Mr. Delon.
So my name is Delon Paul. I live in Canada. I am a chartered accountant, and I'm really excited to be here and to start this amazing conversation. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So thank you all for coming. And for anybody who has been following me since June, I started when all the things started to happen with George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, you know, you get to a point where you start to feel a little bit helpless almost as to what can I do to contribute or help try to fix what's right. So they had that day of silence in June, and you know, it was a thing of learn more about the history or learn more, whatever it is you could do to be silent and kind of get inspired and figure out how you can become a part of this, to help in any way you can. Use your own talents, whatever you already have access to, right? And I'm like, it's just little old me. I don't know what I could do. And I came up with one of the things that came to me was we need to try and change the narrative of, number one, how our Black men are portrayed, which inspired the name Chronicle of Our Kings. And then also, I was inspired because there are things that go on in our community that we live and we know, but they are portrayed in the media in a whole different way. So why not take control of the whole narrative and start having discussions on our own about the things that are going on and try to come up with solutions and how we can, first of all, become aware of it, right? What is really going on? And speak to some of the root causes. And then what are some of the things we could do to solve it or try to make it better? And then on top of that, the people that I talk to, my goal is to try to build a network of men, for young men to go to, for mentors, as well as for just for us to go to and know that we're here for each other, right? And that there are a lot of things that we do that we don't know that each other is doing. If we did, we would reach out and get the help, right? So that's why I'm doing this. And the roundtables will be every month. We had one already before, but I didn't know how to record it, but we're good. We know what to do now. So here we are. So let's get started. So just to begin, let's talk about what does it mean to be financially literate? Being financially literate means having the knowledge and confidence to efficiently and effectively manage, save, invest money for you and your family. This can include everything from getting out of debt, budgeting, insurance, investments, real estate, college, retirement planning, and tax and estate planning, things like that. Another definition of it is the ability to use knowledge and skills to manage financial resources effectively for a lifetime of financial well-being. And other topics related to that are planning and goals, career preparation, spending and credit, consumer protection, income, money management, saving and investing, risk management. I think it's important to get all that out for people because you need to know what is that, right? Some people have never even heard of the term financial literacy, right? Or financial well-being. Even the term financial well-being, when I was doing my research for today's discussion, was new for me. So, you know, and I try to stay up on certain things. So that was even interesting for me. So an institution, the TIAA Institute's Personal Finance Index provides a barometer of, this is where I got this is from, a barometer of U.S. adults' readiness to make sound financial decisions. It examines financial literacy across 8 common financial activities, which are earning, consuming, saving, investing, borrowing, insuring, understanding risk, and gathering information. One of the statistics they had about the African American community, financial literacy and wellness among African Americans, they found in the report that they asked them different questions around those topics to see their understanding of it. And African Americans answered 38% of the personal finance index questions correctly, compared to 55% among whites, indicating a significant financial literacy gap. Now, even 55% is not a good score, right? But, you know, on a scale of 100. So let's be clear, nobody has it all right, right? But we definitely have some room to improve. As African Americans, they make up 13%, we make up 13% of the US population and constitute a critical segment of our economy. Research shows that we tend to exhibit lower financial well-being in the US. So my goal is to talk about all of that today. And I'll start with our first discussion question. Every individual needs to be aware of their options when it comes to saving, insurance, managing debt, balancing a budget, and investing for retirement. But as you heard me already say just now, not everybody does, and it's especially obvious within the Black community. Again, research finds that African Americans tend to exhibit lower financial well-being than the US white population. Given the strong link between financial literacy and financial well-being, increased knowledge can lead to improved financial capability and behaviors. So I'll open with this question. What do you think? And I'll go around the room. If you are not comfortable with answering, just you can pass, okay? I'll open with, what do you think some of the questions or factors are that contributed to lack of knowledge as it relates to key topics in financial literacy within the African American community? And I'll start with Miss Nikki.
I think that it starts with being at home for me, and not really getting, I personally got a little educated on it as far as financial literacy, but I really didn't understand it until I got into high school and got my first credit card. My mom always paid for everything, and I never really went to the bank as a young child and, said, okay, this is, your savings account, even though she kind of instilled in me to save, but it wasn't really something consistent, as far as the information and how important it was, until I got older and I messed up on a credit card, and then here we go. So it went completely downhill from at that point, for me, even personally. So this is something great for me to learn as well. But I think it really just starts at home, and it also helps as far as in school, with having some of those classes and the teachers starting to add some of that information into what you're learning, because it'll really help you as you get older. To learn how to save and learn how to manage your money and how to go to have a checking account, starting a savings account, and really take some of your 10% or 20% out of your paycheck and save it. So those are important things that we should learn from young until we get older. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. So I think it starts from home and then in school.
I can totally attest to that. Thank you. So Mr. Reginald, what about your thoughts?
I would pretty much say that well, we weren't really educated in the community for us about finances and different things like that. Growing up, I never was taught about finances. What helped me out is pretty much the Bible says, knock and the door will be open. Seek, and we pretty much have to seek and pretty much seek for what we want. And that was just the opening from me, and just listening to people like Jim Rome, and a book that really helped me out was The Richest Man in Babylon, where it talks about what you're supposed to do with your finances. But I mean, nobody in the hood is telling nobody to go read Richest Man in Babylon.
Right.
So we have to go out there and teach our youngsters about books like that, and pretty much get the knowledge to understand about finances.
Thank you. What about you, Miss Candace?
Yeah, the same thing with Nikki and my husband is basically it starts at home. It starts at home and spread abroad, right? But also our parents only can teach us what they know. And sometimes it can be limited for some people because their parents taught them what they know. And so it's kind of like, who will fill that value gap? Who's gonna help that student or that child? Because I know when I was in school, they taught us economics, supply and demand, but no one taught us to, like Miss Nikki said, go write a checkbook or go get your own bank account. How do you write a check? All of those different things. No one taught us that, and I tell people, my parents taught me what they knew. And so it's up to me to learn new things, of course, get what they have taught us, but also increase knowledge. And so, yes, definitely starts at home. It starts at school, but also at church as well. We all are a community. We all have to work together. If they don't get it at home, it has to be heard somewhere else. So most definitely.
Thank you. Very good point. So Ms. LaCole, how about you?
Okay, I believe some of the factors that have contributed to the lack of knowledge in our community is, one, we have to stop feeling hopeless. If we continue to feel hopeless, living paycheck to paycheck as if it's the normal, nothing will change, not within our household. Although, as Ms. Blank has said, our parents may have only, taught us what they have known, and it is for us to go head out to, learn more things and to educate the next generation. So I just say the lack of interest is a factor in our community, is a big factor, because it is some people that are out here, and it is some businesses that have already started the financial literacy programs and stuff like that, but the turnouts are terrible. So again, the lack of interest and feeling hopeless.
Wow.
That's a very interesting
That's
Yeah.
good.
take. And
Good, good.
yeah, but it's
Yeah,
true.
no interest.
Because you live in that arena, and so I'm sure you've tried to do things with your business, and you're like, how are so many people not interested in being able to fix this situation for themselves? So, Mr. Curt.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on what Nicole said. She said lack of interest, but I would say it's pride. A lot of times people don't want they don't want the information because they don't want you to know their business. They don't want you in their business. And I got it all. I know exactly what I need to do for some people. I'm able to pay my bills, whether I pay it late, I pay my bills. And they don't even recognize, like you said, you have to do research about the topic. They don't even recognize that they're ignorant about the topic because they don't even know the topic exists.
Right.
So yeah, we've tried to do things as well from a church standpoint in terms of educating individuals. We open it up to the community, and again, you don't have people coming out simply because they think they're fine.
Right. You're right. That is true too. I like what you said about the pride piece. Not only do they think they're fine, but even if they know there's an issue, they might be ashamed to go tell somebody. They don't, like you said, they don't want anybody in their business. But what people need to realize is this is a real thing, and you can't help what you didn't know. So, you can help what you didn't know, but you know what I mean? You came up a certain way, certain things weren't taught to you, and the only way to get that education is to go after it. And now once you have it and you don't do anything about it, that's a whole different story. But, you don't go hide when you break your leg, you go to the hospital, right? So you can fix your leg. So same way with your finances, go to the doctor. So Miss Monica, your turn, please.
So I agree with across the board with what has been said so far. I do want to add that, okay, so yes, it starts in the home, because if we look at a lot of our non-minority families, those who are in that higher income bracket, from diapers, they're teaching them economics, they're showing them, and oftentimes they have businesses that they're grooming and pruning their offspring to run. So they're getting a lot of that out of school knowledge. And also in the African American community, we oftentimes have the cooked ham scenario, to where it's a story where somebody cuts off the ham to make it fit in the pot. And so that is passed down to generations until one day somebody said, well, why do we cut the end of the ham off? And the family is like, or the mom is like, well, I don't know. That's how Mama did it. That's how our grandma did it. So, but even though we have pans now that fit the whole ham and you don't have to cut it off, because of that traditional passed down thinking, that's, it's just kind of we do what we always have done type of thing. So that brings me to the money in the mattress, or the not opening up bank accounts because of trust issues within the African American community. We have been scarred in many different ways, and then also because of our lack of financial literacy, we've been taken advantage of financially. And so then I think then we don't trust the banks, because even though oftentimes it might not be that the bank did something wrong, it might have been that we didn't understand a policy, or somebody didn't explain something, and so then we lost money. And so then our fear tactic wants us to hold on to what we have, versus stepping out there to learn something that just might seem so foreign, which is the whole world of financial literacy. And then also yes, as far as just teaching, okay, what's a savings account? What is a checking account? How do you balance your checkbook? Now, I have never been the greatest at math. And so, so when I would come up to a roadblock, even at 17, when I got my first credit card, or my 18 on a college campus, nobody told me this is how you manage. Now, common sense and just kind of doing my own, I managed, but going back to just not being really strong in math. Well, if you don't balance your checkbook and then what happens? It's just like, okay, it's not balanced, but then if nobody shows you another way to manage your finances, other than just, well, you have to balance your checkbook. Okay, I can't balance it. Now what? So I think there are a lack of other options when like the traditional option doesn't work for people. Like,
Right.
yeah. So that's pretty much my take.
Understood. And I like that that cooked ham scenario analogy. That was cool. So we're gonna go into the next question. So another article I read said that just like other communities, financial literacy varies across demographic groups within the African American community. Financial literacy is greater among men, older individuals, those with formal education, and those with higher incomes. Like I think Monica mentioned that earlier. That said, one area that stands out is a lack of financial knowledge exhibited by college students. In a study conducted at a historically Black college, this research concluded that the reason for this anomaly could be that many of the students are first generation and come from lower income households with no history of wealth generation in their families. Based on data study in the spring and fall of 2016, the research shows that less than 4% of respondents could answer all 5 basic financial literacy questions. This is easily troubling, considering the amount of crushing debt that faces most students when they graduate. So my question is, I think the message we've always been told is go to college, get a good job, and make good money, or that it's going to equate to that, right? It was missing some key details, like how going to college can create overwhelming debt, and nobody ever really told us what to do with those refunds you get from your financial aid while you're in school. If you had to give the kids that graduated this past year any advice regarding how to manage the expenses so they come out better financially when they graduate college, what would it be? And we'll go back out of order. Monica, you can go again on
I
this.
would just say educate themselves. I am not an expert in financial literacy, and I would just say like the basics. Learn what the rich do and those who are wealthy by reading. If you don't have somebody who you can immediately access and like talk to, read books on how to invest, how to save, how to budget, how to manage, because there's a ton of information out there in books. And they say that if you want to hide something from Black people, put it in the book. So I tell everybody, read books, because that's how for years information has been kept from us.
Thank you, and that's a very good point to read. And nowadays, if you're not a reader, I'm an ear reader. I read a lot of books with my ears. There's plenty of stuff out there you can get on YouTube, like free audiobooks. You got Audible, that you can get it. There's no excuses. But Pastor Curt, how about you?
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, I think what I try to do and what we do in our church is we back up to elementary school. Kids graduating from elementary school, not high school. Graduating from high school is too late at the most part. Because basically what you have to do is you have to teach kids going into middle school or graduating middle school that high school is important. Because you can go to college for free. First of all, we're in Georgia, right? So you have the Hope Scholarship. Yeah, there are also in some of the counties, like I have a student, I found out today that one of the graduating students in my church who graduated from high school is going into college as a junior. So she only has 2 years of college left.
Right. Yeah.
So again, we try to get them into programs. We had a Learn to Earn program in our church whereby we were teaching young people, number one, things they need to do in high school, right? You have to get away from not making good grades. You're going to school to earn money. The money comes in college. So number one, we're trying to get you knowledgeable about scholarships so that when you go to college, you don't have to go into debt. Number two, if that's not you and you just don't have the grades, nothing says that you have to go to a 4-year school right away. You can go to a 2-year school. Some states like Tennessee, you can go to a 2-year school for free, right? In our state, we don't have that, but you can still go to school, stay at home, right? So you don't have to run a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 worth of debt. There's nothing that says you have to graduate college with $100,000 worth of debt.
Yeah.
Right. It's a choice that you make because you buy into, like you said, go to college, get a degree, and you're going to earn money. That's not true. Right. And you know that. So the thing is, you have to educate and give people options. The third thing you can do, like I did, you go to school and you work. There's nothing that says, there's nothing that says that you have to go and borrow money, right? There are options that you have. You don't have to borrow money. Go to work. Matter of fact, college is probably one of the times you're going to have the most free time on your hands. If you have just a little bit of discipline, you can go to school full time and get a part-time job to help you, okay? And finally, if you find yourself in that situation whereby you're taking loans, even when you're in college, scholarships are available to you. You don't have to sit back and just take the loans. It's incumbent upon you to pay for your education. And it's not just African Americans. I know we're talking about African Americans primarily, but all college kids are stupid when it comes to finances.
They're not the brightest when it comes to finances, yeah. But it's based on what they didn't learn, right? So, so what about you, Nicole? What are your thoughts? Your advice?
I would say pretty much almost the same thing, but one thing I will add was to say, as we know, most of the things start at home. We need to start as the African American community. We, as mothers and fathers, have to create a safe haven for our kids at home, creating that positive space where they don't feel like they have to run off to college and stay on campus. That would be the first thing I would tell kids: stop staying on campuses. You don't have to. If anything, work hard and get a job. And, you can be independent. If you have to, just going out of state and you have to stay in an apartment or something and get a roommate, it's definitely other ways. But I would personally tell them, first look at a community college, then look at staying off campus, and, then definitely look and try to get a part-time job so you can still be saving. And if you have to take out a loan, make sure it's the least amount, not what they totally offering you, because, you can take out a certain portion and pay on it while you're in school if you have to. Thank you.
Good information. Thank you. So then, Miss Candace, what about you? What's your advice?
Oh man, this is like a life question for me, and I'm gonna incorporate my husband because we went through that experience, right? It's life situations over here. My husband, he went through the going to school and getting the loans, all right? And so I always play with him. I said, man, I should have checked your credit before I married you, right? Because the thing is, when we talked with one of his counselors, one of the things that she sat down and said just what Nicole said: do not get the maximum amount of loan money that you can possibly get, because what happens is that most people at these good old refund checks, they're not refund checks. You paying that back with interest. Yes. So that means that you need to get the exact amount of money that your actual 4 years will cost you and nothing more, so that you won't be getting those refund checks, because those refund checks are costing you interest on how much it is that you have to pay back. And so you don't want to be in a situation like that. And then also by me working in financial services, one of the things that especially going to school and looking at people, yes, go to a 2-year university first. Don't be going to getting that university 4-year university tuition, right? Because the same thing that you can get at a 4-year school for your first 2 years, you can get at a community college. It's okay. But let me talk to some of the parents out there. We force our kids who don't want to go to college to go to college. That's where you get most of the debt at, right? If your child is not every child wants to go to college, put them in a technical school, or better yet, look at Oprah Winfrey. She didn't go to college at all. She got a honorary degree. Why? Because she went and actually became an entrepreneur. It's okay for your child to use his gifts or her gifts and talents to make money. College is to network, not get in debt. And so you network at college. So that means you go and you meet people because that's your future clients or your future everything, but don't get in debt behind it. And another thing for me is, we talked about this, Miss Shirley, the other day. Go to school, get a good education, get a good job. I say, what is a good job, and what is what is a good job? Due to the fact that my background before I got into the financial services side of it was medical. I always wanted to be a doctor. So I said, you know what, let me take the steps to being a doctor, until I got in the medical field. And I said, well, you know what, being a psychiatrist is not my cup of tea. But I was making good money. I was making about $20 an hour until I got financially literate, because I was ignorant, Mr. Curt, right, Pastor Curt? I was ignorant, and ignorant is not bad. That means you just don't know. But don't be stupid, because after you find the information and you still don't change it, now you're stupid. So now let me tell you something about getting a good job. Before I got educated on financial literacy, I'm thinking, you know how people say, oh, you got a $20 job, a $30 job. Let's do the math. If you do 20 hours times 8 hours of your hard-earned day, taking away your time from your family and all of that, how much money have you made in that one day? $160 for that one day. And you know what? What's so bad about it is that the government don't even trust you with your own money, because they take taxes right
Yeah,
off.
that's what I was going to say. And then they're going to tax it. So
They take taxes right off the top. And then
you don't even get all of it.
And then what's bad about it is that if you go, if African American people were educated enough about why is it important to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, that's because we pay taxes at the end of the year. I'm sorry, y'all, all those blue collar workers, we pay at the end of the year. So everything comes in our home. That's why there's paycheck to paycheck living. It's because y'all making $160 a day. They get their taxes right off the top, and then now you're living on the network and not making a net worth. Right? So, that's the thing that I educate families on, is about why is it important to read those books like Monica was saying, right? Why is it important to self-develop and not be prideful, like Pastor Curt said, so that you can get that education background. They don't teach this in school, which they should have.
Right.
So I started work at 14 years old. I didn't even know how to do a 401k. And you see how young I was? I created a 401k because my white manager set me down literally and asked me, did I create a 401k? And I looked at him and say, what do you mean? Because why? My parents only taught me what they knew, right? So when I got the knowledge, that's when you can change things. When he taught me about the 401k, that's when I did it.
Right. So that's exactly how it is for a lot of us. Somebody else ends up showing us, and then we make a good decision. I want to give your husband some time to speak too. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to make sure everybody gets
go ahead. I get passionate about it.
I know.
Listen here, when you start knowing stuff, you try to tell everybody.
Everybody, right. So what about you, Mr. Blanks? What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna speak briefly. But like Monica was saying, read, self-improve. But one of my theories is, if your kids don't want to go to college, I would just say get a job in the field. If you want to start a business, get a job that the business that you want to go in, so you can learn that knowledge, so you can make yourself valuable. A job is just a tool to make yourself valuable. You don't stay at a job for a long time, just get that knowledge to be able to grow your business and learn that knowledge. Because I worked for the school district for 10 years in graphic and printing. I was underpaid, but I used that knowledge. So when I got my business, so I could get paid. So that's what you get a job for, so you can get that wisdom.
Awesome. I love that very much. Everything that I do outside of corporate America, I can only do it because of what I learned there. Besides what you teach yourself, for your business, but that's it. You use that as a tool. Like I said, I love it. I want to make sure people know, like, having a job is not a bad thing. It's just use it for what it's worth. What about you, Miss Nikki?
I am definitely a product of this. When I saw the college question, I was like, it hit home for me because I am in this situation. I went to a 2-year college. My dad worked at a college, and I was able to go for 4 years free. And I turned it down. And I turned it down because, one, I didn't want my father down my throat in college. So I said, I'm going to go to a 2-year, and I think I regret it, and then I don't. I kind of more so regret even going to a 2-year because I went and I feel like I didn't learn anything when I got out of there. Like, I felt like I wasted my money, I wasted my time, and a lot of what I learned, I couldn't even take into a job and get a job that I went to school for. So not only do I have the degree, but I have debt, and that I'm still paying off, and I'm still an entrepreneur, and I'm still doing a 9-to-5 in a field I didn't even go to school for. So one thing that I told my son is, I personally instilled in him that I'm not going to force him to go into school, but what he has to do is either find a job or, be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. One of the two. But he can't be obviously sitting at home doing nothing. But I'm definitely not going to force him to do it because I talk to so many people who are younger than me or older than me, and we all have the same story that we get out of college, spend all this money, and at the end of the day, people don't even hire us because we don't have the experience. So you waste all of this money and time and energy, and you're in debt for what? So my advice is to definitely be educated on what you want to do. And even if you even need to go to college for it, if these are things that you can learn on your own by, again, Miss Monica saying to read, educate, YouTube, go to classes. They have so many seminars. They have so many things you can do outside of college. Avoid it if you can, because at the end of the day, it's like a draw to luck. Like, am I going to get into something that I went to school for, or am I just going to be in debt forever trying to pay back? And I'm still not learning anything. So that would just be my advice, is to definitely know what you want to do when you go into college, because I wanted to go into marketing. And the guy talked me into doing business administration. So I even went into a field that I didn't even want to do.
Right.
So I just totally, that just tainted me on college, that whole experience. So just definitely educate yourself.
Yeah, and that's the key, because everybody's life is different. So it's, for you, you might have been better off not going. For somebody else, maybe it is good for them to go. But the key is what you said at first, which is make sure you know what you want to do and what's required to be able to do it. Does it require a 2-year degree? Does it require a certificate? Does it require just going to get the job and work your way up?
Right.
It's different things. So different things for different people. But I love everything you guys said, because a lot of what you guys said is stuff we don't typically hear growing up. Right. This is good. This is good. So let's go on to the next question. So when it comes to wealth, Black Americans have less at nearly every juncture of life, from birth to death. Black students borrow more to go to college. They may not finish as often or more frequently. They default on their student loans, and everybody does. This is not just African Americans. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. They earn less and generally have, but to that point though, we do experience more of the earning less for the same work and things like that. And generally, everyone has concerns with credit, but it happens a lot within our community, lower credit scores. So you end up paying higher interest rates, and it's harder to save for retirement or leave anything to the next generation when you die. Black families with a new baby have a median household income of $36,300, according to an analysis of the 2018 census. For white families, more than twice as much, $1,000. Black families were behind other groups too. For Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, the median income was $105,000. Among multiracial families, the figure was $64,000. Hispanics, $48,000, and Native American, Alaskan Native families, $41,000. So starting with less makes many things in the future much harder. So my question, these issues make it hard to create that silver spoon next generation within our community. what are some things that you think we can start doing to bridge this gap and ensure a better financial future for our community? I want to hear what things you suggest as individuals, as a community, or even from those who have been able to create wealth as African Americans. So you don't have to do all of those, but I would like to hear if you have any thoughts on that to kind of incorporate those three things as well. So I'll start with Pastor Curt.
Yeah, just from an individual standpoint, the biggest thing, and one of the things that we try to advocate, is making sure people have term insurance, life insurance.
Yeah,
We had a situation in my church simply because we buried a young man a couple of weeks ago, and one of my members now are in the process of burying their brother. And again, the family has no money to just pay the bill for the burial. So people are leaving, and they're not even contemplating leaving something for their children. The Bible says a wise man leaves an inheritance for their children's children, so their grandchildren. They're not even thinking that. They're leaving debt.
Right.
So like with me and my family, I've had $1 million of insurance for the last 20 years. So if anything happens to me, my wife and my kids don't have to miss out on the lifestyle that I've established for them, right? So it's a matter of investing in yourself to invest for the next generation. But the problem is, again, you get into a vicious spiral because, first of all, you have a generation that is not concerned about the next generation.
Right.
They want to party for themselves. Or you're in a financial situation where you don't have the disposable income, the discretionary income in order to incorporate that into your budget, right? So, I mean, some people don't even have a budget, but it's one of the things our Jewish brothers and sisters use in order to pass wealth on to the next generation. They put life insurance policies. So even if I don't have money in death, I pass something on to the next generation.
Right.
So that's one of the easiest things we can do right now. And it doesn't have to be $1 million of a life insurance. If you're a healthy person, and basically what your insurance is untimely death, you can get 100,000, 250,000, but you can leave money for the next generation simply by $30 a month, $70 a month, $100 a month. Just that one thing alone can help you do that. And the other challenge I have is that, we had a situation where we had to bury a police officer who worked for the DeKalb County Sheriff's Department, who have benefits. They didn't sign up for the insurance in the benefits when it's subsidized, right? That's the kind of ignorance I'm talking about, right? If you're being offered a benefit, take the benefit.
Right. I love it. Very good points. And that's a very low hanging fruit to have an insurance policy, because all right, you've been working for your whole life and you maybe don't see a way that you could ever leave a legacy. That's an easy way to do it. Sign up for the benefit at your job, or if you are an entrepreneur, pay that few dollars a month, because think about what you waste that on, like coffee. Okay. Like what you spend for what you spend on coffee every day, you could get a life insurance policy. Make your own coffee at home and pay for a life insurance policy. It's just a little sacrifice like that can have a huge benefit. But that's really good. Thank you, Pastor. So Miss Nikki, I'm going to come back to you. What are your thoughts on that?
I learned a lot about, and this is just something that I've kind of been researching quite some time since I started working at my current job as well, is to open up a trust. I hear a lot of, white people who I talk to through my customer service job. Almost every elderly, maybe over 40, 45, they all have trust for their children. They all have set aside these trusts under their homes or whatever the situation is. And I've even put in a trust too as well. Now I have to educate myself because I have no idea what it is, but they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it must be something beneficial for their family in the long run if something happens to them. So I've been doing a lot of research on trust. So I think opening a trust for your family and putting money aside towards that is something I would be.
I love it. And I like your honesty in terms of like, I don't know exactly all of it, but everybody else is doing it and it seems to be working out well for them. And, you know, so I'm going to follow, you know, and I'll learn as I go along. And things can happen, like, you know, investment is, can have risk, right? But there's no, what is it? There's no reward without risk. I'm really bad with cliches.
Yes,
That's
it. That's it.
It strictly says scared money don't win.
Or scared money don't win.
Scared money don't win.
Mr. Reginald, I'm gonna let you go before Candace this time, so you can get some.
Thank you. Like Mr. Curtis says, life insurance. We gotta teach about life insurance. But what I would add to that is when you get the life insurance policy, they have to know what to do with the money to make more money.
Right.
Like somebody I would like to say, Master P, he got a life insurance policy for like $10,000. It probably wouldn't be a Master P without that life insurance policy. He made millions off of $10,000 because he invested his money. We don't teach our kids about stocks or different things like that. I didn't learn about stocks until about a couple years ago. I'm way behind the mark. But now that I know, I'm gonna teach my kids how to do stocks and different things like that. So we have to teach our kids how to make our money a slave. I go back to that book, Richest Man in Babylon. We got to teach our kids how to make their money grow and make that money a slave, not make money, not let slave. Let me slow down.
Not let money, not slave for the money.
Yes, we have to. The money has to work for us, so that's the main thing. I've seen a lot of people get life insurance policy where they get $200,000, but they blow the money, so they can't pass that money down to generations because they don't know what to do with the money. So we have to teach our kids what to do with the money when they get the money.
Right. Awesome. I love that. Okay. Nicole, how about you?
Yes. One thing I will say, I'm gonna add to the life insurance, but it's other just than life insurance. It's something that I have is called home life insurance, which is a little cheaper than life insurance, which covers your house so your kids won't get displaced, and the money that's left over go to your children. So I try to teach my people in the community about the different things that we are, not always aware of. But some people don't have the disposable income. I done sat down with life insurance and different companies just to see their rates and different stuff. And if you want to be able for your your family to live accustomed to what they are living now, it's $30 a month. It's really a pretty penny, and we already know our community is lacking in that financial area. What other options? So I would say to the community, we have to develop different options. We can't always follow that white picket fence or that go to college idea, because they change the games on us a lot of times. We don't always know the rules. Like you said, you got to read, but everybody can't read. Everybody can't understand. So I will just add and say, let's start like you're doing today. You having this public forum. We need more public forums in our communities. At our CA, at our little, community, at our schools, have our schools sponsor. So I would just add and say, let's have it more at the church. The pastor out here to have more church finances class. Instead of a purse party, let's have a financial party. So I think we just have to continue to have that conversation and not be scared to start that conversation, but definitely build wealth while we're alive. That 401k, that's the stocks, all of that we should already be invested, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't just want my kids to just leave my kids that. I want to live a wealthy life too. So we have to invest in ourselves while we're alive, not to only leave something, for our kids, but for ourselves too, to live a lifestyle that we want, we deserve. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Wealthy life too. So we have to invest in ourselves while we're alive, not to only leave something.
Okay, so Miss Monica, what are your thoughts on this?
I think Nicole hit the nail on the head for what I was going to say. I think it's just having a conversation as far as what each family can do, which would then help the community. So like stepping out of pride, like, even within our like grandmas and aunts, if the family would just come together and just say, hey, where are we financially? Like, if there's a lot of things within our culture that we don't talk about, health and finances, and in both areas we are suffering. So I think just having that conversation and then just being honest, like instead of like, auntie trying to hide her financial status, or and yet every family is different. Like some families you might not be able to do that with, but if it's feasible, or just even within, like, if you're a married couple, just having those open conversations, and then definitely having more forums in the church and the community to just bring the awareness that this is an issue. Like, yes, in church we sing, we dance, we have all kind of dinners, but when was the last time, like Nicole said, we had a financial session, right? So yes, that's pretty much just hitting the nail on the head for me.
Right. I get it.
Yeah, can I say
Pastor
two
Curt,
things real quick?
Yeah, I was going to let you, and I was going to shout you out too, because at his church, they do that.
They do.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was about to say. I tell my church all the time, you better be thankful I'm your pastor, because you got to every Sunday.
Right.
Oh, wow.
But number two, the other thing we have to be mindful of in our community, in families, is you have to learn to say no.
Right.
A lot of times what happens is somebody in the family becomes successful, and now the rest of the family look to them as the bank.
Right.
And because now you are successful, there's an expectation that you have to take care of everybody else. And what happens is, what you have to learn how to do in the street is, we don't throw bad money after bad money. If you try to help a brother and a sister and you see they're wasting the money, don't turn around and continue to give those people money. You have to learn, what you have to learn how to say is, sometimes they'll call you and you have the money. See, I have a budget. So when I have a budget and you call me, I say, I don't have it for you.
Right. Yeah. It's not in the budget this week. That's a really good point. Really good point, Pastor. How about you, Miss Candace?
Oh man, I'm loving this. I just want to sit back and just listen, right? Oh my goodness. But Pastor Curt and everybody hit it on the doornail with the insurance side of it, because you definitely want to make sure that your family is covered. You want to make sure that you're properly protected and not underinsured, not even have nothing at all. You want to make sure that you're properly protected, but also we want to make sure that we have these conversations at the dinner table with our kids. We talk about sports and we talk about all of these different things, but we want to make sure that we're actually having a financial conversation with our children at the dinner table. And so that's one of the things that really stood out to me. Like this past summer, what my husband did with my niece and my daughter is, he did a millionaires one-on-one class, and he taught them about finances and gave them questions and quizzes about how to do this. How many of us can sit down with our kids without being so busy and really just teach them the financial literacy and the knowledge, right? It only takes about 15 minutes just to sit down and change your own child's life, because that is your next generation, right? And so another thing I wanted to talk about is, before a person gets life insurance, they got to get a mindset change. See, a lot of times when I sit down with people and talk to them about their finances, talk to them about insurance, the first thing they don't get it, right? Because they don't see the need for it. They rather go buy Jordans and they go buy all of this other stuff, because let's be real, Black people live above their means. We buy up everything instead of living within our means, right? That's what wealthy people do. They stay within their means. They could be millionaires, don't even look like millionaires, because they stay within their means. And then all of a sudden, what happens? They go and buy what they want, right? Well, we need to take on the same concept that the wealthy people are doing, staying within our means, and then not being afraid of the word life insurance, because they think that as soon as they get it, they're gonna die. That's not the case, right? You're not just gonna die as soon as you get life insurance. You got to understand that life insurance is income protection. You're protecting the income. Like Miss Nicole said it. She said, if a spouse or wife was to pass away, and every family normally live on a 2-income household. So that means that if that income passes away, then now you do have to get uprooted, from your home and lose that car and lose all of those different things. And so that's why it's important that we educate our kids at a young age. Now let's go back to talking about roots. What did our parents or our great parents, our big mamas, right? Our big G's, right? They taught us to get what all of these different types of life insurances, but what they didn't teach us, like Pastor Curt said, is to get enough protection. They only got what? The underinsured, the low protection, and it was just a burial plan. So we want to really educate about what it is that a family really needs for their family to make sure that you can have that financial success.
Thank you so much. I love it. And that's a really good point. The amount that you get is what counts, because I do recall hearing that sometimes, like in the older generations, they'll say, you know, make sure you get insurance. But like you said, it's really just burial protection. It's just enough to pay for the funeral, if that. And it doesn't really leave a legacy or help the people who are left behind or impacted by it. So going on to the next topic. In 1968, a typical middle-class Black household had $6,604 in wealth compared to $70,786 for the typical middle-class white household. According to data from the Historical Survey of Consumer Finances that has been adjusted for inflation, of course, in 2016, the typical middle-class Black household had $13,024 in wealth versus $149,703 for the median white household, an even larger gap in percentage terms. So it seems like we really haven't moved beyond the divide of 1968 between the Black and white economic divide here. With that data, as of 2016, the most recent year for which the data is available, you would have to combine the net worth of 11.5 Black households to get the net worth of a typical white household. I think this is staggering. And we need to understand how we can, or how we got here, right? To understand how we can reduce this divide. So I'm going to ask, how did we get here? And is, in your opinion, how did we get here? And is this an effort to overcome by us only, or a team effort made up of by who? Like ideally, who all needs to work on this? Who needs to help us bridge this gap or shrink that divide? And I don't think I've let Candace go first yet. So I'll let you go first this time.
Oh man. I would really honestly, say the just stopping the dividing in education in our school system, because right now we got neighborhoods divided. If you go to the suburbs, you get the best education. Go to the hood, you don't get no education, get reused books and everything else. And so I really look at that a lot because I have a nephew who he literally goes to a suburban school, and he is really getting taught about writing a check and all of that in school. But when I look at another child that goes to a different arena, then all of a sudden they don't have no clue.
They're not talking about it.
Not even talked about. They're not even on the same page, and I think that, of course they say that racism is here. It's divided amongst neighborhoods and everywhere else for that matter, but I don't get too much caught up in that per se, dealing on that side, because I say, listen, we have to even the playing field and start educating ourselves and our next generation. There are so many books, so many different things out there that we haven't even tapped into. And so when I look at that, one of the things that my husband and I decided to do was educate ourselves about taxes, especially as business owners, right? We got to educate ourselves about what divides us in our taxes, right? Because we got it. You always hear the wealthy is getting richer and the poor getting poor. But why is it? Why is it that? That's because people are working on a job versus working for themselves. And the tax bracket is totally different in that arena.
Right.
So the divide is learning business.
Got you. Very good point. What about you, Mr. Blanks?
I would just say we just need to just educate more, just keep on educating. And we need to teach our kids about what is an asset, what is a liability. That's some things that we don't teach our kids. What are those things? Because we always buy these liabilities instead of assets to grow our money. Also, I think credit is a big problem. You have somebody that's paying $500 for a hoopty, and then somebody with good credit paying $500 for a Mercedes-Benz because we got bad credit. Then we buy these houses and with bad credit. So it's money just keep taken from our pockets because of lack of knowledge and not having good credit. When you have good credit, you don't have to spend all that money. You can use that money to invest or do it some other kind of way. But since we don't have a mindset of all that, we just blow our money. And it's not like they say, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. So we got to learn how to keep that money. And that's what I would say.
Thank you. Very good points. I will go to Nicole.
Somebody don't like what I have to say regarding this question, but for me, from my experience, how we got here is America got us here as African American. And I say that just to say where I grew up at, they built projects for our parents, where they put our parents in those projects and said pretty much, this is your line, this was you should be. Yes, they begin to break out and they didn't know how to, break out. They brought homes, but that was a quality home. Did they have money to fix those homes up? Then you lost homes. So I say how we got here is definitely by the government, because even when they started putting our fathers, thank God my father stayed around, but most of my friends didn't have Black fathers in the neighborhood. So when these women was getting welfare and different stuff, they became dependent upon it. So you say, who's going to get us out? Should it be other people? Should it be us? I say they put us here. Why would they help get us out? So we're going to have to get ourselves out. It's like we have the wife and husband here now that's entrepreneurs. Everybody on here, entrepreneurs, and teaching within our households to build. So it's going to be us who take us out, because we're going to it's time for us to set the rules, to create our own game. We've been playing the game of America for a long time, and they have not helped us. They don't educate our city schools, and I work in this charter school for 17 years, and I sit on the board for enough to go, and there's a whole different atmosphere, different activities. So as us as a community, we gonna have to stand up. We gonna have to demand more things, get more involved. If we want to change our lifestyles, where we live, how much money we make, what we can afford, we're going to have to get ourselves, you put us in jail, you lie on us, and you over everything. How are we going to ever win? It's time for us to get in position with our money and as a group, as a family, as a community, and knock these walls down.
Listen, you just said so much. That's
but I'm very passionate.
You're starting to break up a little bit though, but what you said, you hit the nail on the head, like with a lot of things that you said, and I'm shaking my head a lot because
you over everything. How are we going to ever win? It's time for us to get in position.
Discussion
thank you
with Pastor Curt last week or whatever week that was, and he said the exact same thing. So I'm going to let him go next.
Yeah, Nicole hit it right on the head. So here's the thing. Here's the thing you have to understand, because you point out a great thing, right? From 68 to now, or 2016, nothing has changed. Why? Because you're in a system, right? You have to understand, you have a political party, right, that pays for poverty. They trap you into the system, just like Nicole says. Once you're in the system, so they went from segregation. Once we got past segregation, what they decided to do is they need a class of people dependent on them. So they give you just enough. You're in poverty, they give you just enough to survive. So what happens after that? If you try to better yourselves, they take their money away from you. In order for you to continue to get the money, you have to put yourself deeper in poverty. So if you're getting Section 8 or if you're getting welfare, how do you get more money? You get more money by having more children. So you're more dependent on the government. So they trap you in the system. Remember the show Good Times? The reason why Good Times, right? Because they were in the project, but they spoke exactly to what Nicole was talking about. The father stayed and they fought through the poverty. So you try to do better for the next generation. So now you have 75% of African-American children growing up in single parent home. You know, anybody knows if I'm making 45,000 myself, let's say 50, the medium I think is up to 60, but let's say what the medium used to be 55. If I'm making 55 and my wife is making 55 with a family of 4, that's 110,000. If one person is making 55 with 2 kids, that's one person trying to survive on 55, and that's just the median, right? When you're on assistance, you're going to max out from the government. You can get, you're going to max up somewhere about 30 with welfare, SNAP, Section 8. Yeah, but they give you everything you need. So on Obama phone, remember the Obama phone? Everybody got a free phone. Everybody was happy because they got an Obama phone, right? So now you got a free phone subsidized. You got your house subsidized. You got your food subsidized. Everything is subsidized to the point whereby they take away your incentive to break out. Right. One of the things that just happened in the midst of the pandemic, by them giving $600 on top of your unemployment, you had people who were making more money being subsidized by the government than actually working. That's one of the reasons they took the $600 away and reduced it, because people didn't want to go back to work because they were making more money staying at home. This will remain until Black people wake up and understand there is a political party that's paying for their poverty, keeps them in their poverty so that they can continue to vote for them. I'm going to say this and quit. Look at every inner city run by the Democratic Party. Look at African Americans, how they are doing in the inner city. Why do they not want us to have school choice? Why do they want to trap us in failing schools? They want to keep a segment of the population poor. Because if you get out of poverty, you no longer have to vote for them. You don't need them anymore. It's about power. Nicole is absolutely 100% right.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. So,
Mr. Curt, you gonna run for office or something?
I know that's what I said.
Listen, my political teacher really asked me that when I was in college, because I convinced them how not to vote for Hillary Clinton, and they was like, I always said, with political, they always bring up your background, so I ain't gonna go way back to high school.
So what about you, Miss Nikki? What are your thoughts on this?
Wow. I mean, they pretty much put everything on a plate and handed it to me. Wow, I learned so much from that. I'm gonna say something a little bit different. I would say consistency is for me. I'd say being consistent in the home, I think plays a big part, because if you're not consistent in learning and saving and doing all those things, you're going to continue to be where you've always been, and you're not going to grow. And I'm also a product of that, being inconsistent, procrastination, and not, educating myself on, the things that I should be doing. And I consistently know, okay, I'm supposed to save, or I'm supposed to, have the time and educate myself so that I can educate my children. And I'm never consistent in that. And I try to teach him bits and pieces here and there. I have a 12-year-old, and I feel like this now is encouraging me to do more, because I have not been consistent in teaching him these things about 401ks, about saving, giving him a little, credit card, taking him to the little local banks and having him put his money there, and having him buy his own things and say, okay, now you need to put this back, replace it. Just like a little credit card. Okay, you spent it this month. Now put that same money back in there and earn that money again for the next month. So by doing chores in the house, this is giving him a little job, and now he's able to do these things. So definitely those are things that I'm going to be more mindful of going forward, because you guys this was like great.
It's good. I love it. It's
Yeah.
serving its purpose. And so I appreciate that so much. And to your point, like my son, he has, it's called a green light card. And
Okay, so see, is that good? So I've been seeing that quite often
it's to
through
the
like
point
Facebook
now.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's where I ordered it. I saw it on
Okay.
Facebook, but he has it and he has a savings part and his spend part. And I mean, he's at the point now where he's like, all right, well, what can I do to earn some more money? Because he wants to have money in there to be able to go buy the stuff he wants to buy, right? He never says, give me. He says, what can I do to earn some more money to put in there?
Good.
Of course, he also says, can we move some money over from the savings so I can go get something? I'm like, no, we're not doing that. But he's human, just like us.
Yeah, of course.
So, but Miss Monica, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I think the reason for such a great divide, it boils down to three things. Most of the factors are things that have already been discussed, but I think definitely the lack of education, just knowledge, as we talked about in the home, which goes back to we need to regain that Black Wall Street mentality. Like over the years, we've lost that, and why there are different factors that could go into that, but I think just our mentality as African Americans toward our financial literacy, it needs to pivot. Secondly, our lack of discipline, like you said, because we've been so long in the fight or flight type mode, or emergency living or paycheck to paycheck, it's hard to sometimes not dip into that savings. So like, you dip a little bit, and then if you don't have that discipline set up or goals even set up for your money, then you're just spending, and then it's hard to break out of that cycle. And then lastly, of course, like what Pastor Curt and Nicole mentioned, it's the government systems and the societal resistance to us getting wealth in the first place, which kind of brings us back to a lot of African Americans. I believe since we've been in this struggle for so long, we've become desensitized to what's going on in the system. And so instead of fighting it, it's easier sometimes to just work that just over broke job, right? And just kind of go through the motions. But then it just takes me back to the first, to break all of that cycle. It just comes down to our community and our family education.
Right. All really good points. And I like what you said about having goals. Like one of the things that my husband and I try to do lately is give money a goal. Like, what is it we're trying to accomplish next 6 months, next year, next 5 years? And it makes it easier to be disciplined, right? It makes it easier to try to, when you can plan with your money. So yeah, really good point.
Having a budget.
Or having a budget. Yeah, a budget and goals, I would say. So we just got a couple more questions and I'm going to let you guys go. This one here, I believe it is important to teach our young ones, especially our Black young men, how to use their natural ability to support themselves and to make their own way so they can come back to serve their community, and create a better legacy to continue the positive progress. Basically put themselves in a position to be financially secure and independent and teach others how to do the same. Is that a pipe dream, or is that possible? And if so, how, and what does that look like to you? And I'll start with Miss Nikki.
Okay. As I was saying even before, with my children is basically, I don't think it's a pipe dream. I think it's very doable. I think if again we continue to be consistent in the education, consistent in basically building the foundation for them and being an example for them, and kind of helping them learn a little bit more about what it is behind scenes to save and to manage your money and to again budget and to be consistent in that, because even my mom tried to teach me how to budget and I played around with it, and next thing you know I was still blowing money like it was nothing, and I never paid attention to it anymore. So really just educating them on how to be consistent into that and really building your goals, which I think was a really good idea, is building goals for your children and kind of setting the way for that.
Like that. Thank you. Miss Monica, I'll let you go.
I definitely think it's doable as an entrepreneur. I so wholeheartedly push entrepreneurship, and well, not push, but I highly encourage it because I believe God gave us all talents to use and to help support us. I mean, that's part of what our purposes are here for. But He just gave us natural talents, but it just comes down to educating on how to tap into what those talents are. And then that goes back to the family nurturing those talents from the beginning and not putting down each other. But that's a whole another discussion. And then honing that, and then just getting the information on just how to monetize it. And then, as the Blanks have already said, entrepreneurship has shown that that's what those who are wealthiest, that's what they do, right? They have real estate and they're entrepreneurs and they have multiple streams of income. So, but I would say definitely you can definitely use what you were born with to make that happen.
Awesome. I love it. Pastor Curt, what about you?
Yeah, I would say it's not a pipe dream, and it's actually being done right now. So, I mean, you're in Atlanta, so you have Killer Mike and T.I. They're doing that on the south side of Atlanta right now. We all know about Tyler Perry, what he did with Fort McPherson, and pretty much brought Hollywood to Georgia to the point now that Georgia has surpassed Hollywood in terms of revenue from movie making. So it's not a pipe dream. There's actually people, they're entrepreneurs who are doing it right now, and all we have to do is mirror what they're doing and keep it going.
Okay. Love that. Very, very good point. And then Miss Nicole.
Yeah, I agree with everybody. Definitely not a pipe dream. And as you stated in your statement, we have to start young. So, for example, us being role models. If our kids see us as being business owners, us, owning houses, educated or not educated, they see that and that's what they want too. And we have to find out what's their interest, just like them going to college. What's your interest? You like to, play with dolls? Hey, make baby doll clothes. Be that, that entrepreneur that you want to be. And I believe once they tap into things that they like and just try it. Hey, set up that lemonade stand and just realize they can do it too. I think, again, just starting young and being their role models.
I like it. And then the Blanks.
Okay, I go first. So I would say it's not a pipe dream like everybody said. I mean, it's very we can do it. We just have to change our belief system and believe, and no excuses. I would also say set goals. We have to teach our kids how to set goals because nobody really taught us how to set goals. But if we set goals and if they can see, we could just give them a little goal to look at. And once they achieve that one goal, then they can be like, oh, we can do it. So we gotta show them that they can do just the smallest things and then they can move up to the big things. But it's just about setting those goals, being consistent and going after it. That's what I would say.
Awesome.
And this also, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go. So when they get older, they should not depart from it, right? So we got to instill the word into them, instill that foundation into them. And also, I wanted to say about the being patient with this generation, because now this generation is, I don't want nobody telling me what to do kind of generation, right? And so we are looking at it as a they just out of control. They're rebellion. Yeah, you got some of them out there, but we got to really take a real good evaluation of and really look at these kids and what they're telling us. What are they saying when they say they want to do it by themselves? They are like entrepreneurs. That's what we say. We want to we want to build a business. Well, if we can actually stop getting impatient with these young people and really just tap into what are they trying to say. They might not say it or deliver it the best way, but we really need to sit back and say, okay, what are they trying to say? What are you wanting to do? How can I help you get there? Because it starts with us. We are that example. So you got a 18, 19, 20-year-old that's trying to do something, but maybe they didn't deliver it well, right? Maybe they didn't say it the right way. Don't get mad with them. Just say, hey, Let us have a business meeting. What is it that you're trying to do, and how can I help you? You know, and give back to that generation so that they can trust. Because nowadays these kids don't trust nobody. If they ain't themselves, they're not trying to trust anybody. So we have to show that we're make ourselves friendly and show ourselves to these young people that we're just learning this ourselves. But hey, we're willing to teach it to you. Now, as we're teaching it to you, you go teach it to your younger brother or whoever else the case may be.
Right. I love that. I love that. Love that. Like we have to hear what they're trying to say and then teach them. Like if they make it clear what they want to do, let's show them what they need to do to be able to do it versus shun that whole, which, you know, when you're growing up, the main thing is, you know, be a doctor, be a lawyer or something like that. And like, maybe they could be, you know, help them be that something else. So yeah, we have made it to the last question. And this might be a little bit redundant, but only because I want to make sure that as we close out, people understand exactly where your heart is on this subject and what advice you want them to have. What is one thing, in your opinion, statistics aside, that is impacting our community's lower financial well-being or financial literacy, and one piece of advice you give to help improve that particular thing? So I know we talked about a lot of different things, but let's like zone in on one and let everybody leave with that one thing from you. So I will start with, I'll start with you, Ms. LaCole.
Okay, I would like to leave everyone with is the connection to wealth. We have to learn how to connect ourselves to wealth, even if that is home life insurance, 401k or retirement plan, health insurance, whatever that connection is to help you get to that next level to build wealth. You have to find that connection.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reginald.
Just listening to everybody. I think we need more mentorship programs in the hood and going forward. Because if you think about it, if you just go help one kid, that could change a whole generation.
Right. Yeah.
So that just make me want to just go out and mentor and get more mentor programs in the hood, wherever is needed. That's what I would lead.
I love that. Miss Monica, what about you?
I would say work on your money mindset to retrain or to train your mind for wealth. I think money habits come from, deep in the subconscious upbringing, and just as learning anything new, you have to learn how to gain wealth. You have to train your brain. So I would say train it on a spiritual level. Look at what the Bible talks about in terms of wealth and gaining wealth and living in abundance. If you're a Christian or whatever your spiritual affiliation is, look to see what your belief system talks about wealth. And then also on the basic economic side, and then you can do that through YouTube, books, library. There are tons of resources, but YouTube and Google, just start there if you don't know. But I would say money mindset, because again, I think somebody said you can acquire money, but if you don't have the mindset or the knowledge of how to manage it, then it's good as nothing.
I love that, the money mindset. And then Pastor Curt.
Yeah, my biggest thing is education. The system in which we live in these United States of America, the foundation is education. If you can educate yourself, all the people spoke about it, the fact that they had to educate themselves. We read books. We read books. We had to study. The Bible says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. And the thing you have to understand, part of the reason any one of us, we attain and we get to a certain level in life and we learn things. We're always learning things. On your job, you're always learning. If you're trying to get promoted, you're trying to strive to the next level, you have to learn things. Well, there's no different when it comes to finances, right? Mm-hmm. All of us are striving. They've read books, the Millionaire in Babylon, the Millionaire Next Door. There's information out there that's available to us. Like you said, there's books on tape, there are books you can listen to, right? If you're not educating yourself, it's one of the things I've learned in terms of mentoring people. You can lead a horse to water, right? And many of us have said it on this on the broadcast tonight, in that their parents may have taught them things, but they didn't do it right away, right? So I can educate you. I've taught people. One thing I've learned, I know finances, and I share finances, and I teach finances, but I don't get mad at people who don't follow my advice, because I know one thing: I got mine. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. You see what I'm saying? If you don't listen and you want to stay where you are, that's fine. I've done my job.
You did, yeah.
I've imparted into you.
Mm-hmm.
But then I can only give you so much for your own self. You have to take that, then you have to build upon it. So you have to educate oneself. Because I'm going to tell you something, right? There is a level. There's a level of education you need when you're making $50,000 a year. There's a level of education that you need when you're making $100,000 a year. There's a level of education you need to manage $1 million. There's a level of education you need to manage $100 million. Every level you go to, you need more information, because what a fool and his money is soon parted.
Listen, y'all are all saying some great stuff here. Miss Nikki, how about you?
I'm going to say, still, of course, educate yourself, but educate yourself on ways of how to make multiple streams of income. Mm-hmm. How to, like, what businesses can I get into? You know, I know that a lot of people don't know about tax liens, you know, that you can make money from tax liens. Mm-hmm. Educate yourself on ways on how to make money. There's stocks, there's a tax liens, there's, you know, Ubers, there's part-time jobs, there's entrepreneurships, there's, you know, so many things that you can do to set yourself up and your family for generational wealth. And that should be your mindset. It's generational wealth, and how you can set them up for greater things. Look into the trust, look into, you know, the life insurances is so important. I also talked to my fiance about that. And even though it's a touchy subject, you don't want to talk about it. I mean, I can't imagine, you know, something, God forbid, something happening to me and my family has to set up a GoFund, or, you know, having to raise money, you know, to bury one of us, and then leaving behind all of these bills. Credit, work on your credit while you can. Do all those things to set yourself up for, you know, just a clean slate, free living, travel. Stop worrying about, you know, bill collectors calling you. Like, that stuff is hassles that you can avoid in life. And I didn't think about that when, you know, my younger years, but now these are things that I'm so focused on. And don't wait too late to make those changes. Because if you have people around you who are educating you on things, take that advice and really, really educate yourself on how you can set yourself up for greatness.
I love that so much. We talked to, like, literally, we asked our son the other day, we said, what are you going to do to be able to make $1 million? He said, what? I said, what are you going to, my husband is like, what are you going to do to be able to make $1 million? It's okay if you don't know right now, but you need to be thinking about that, because you don't want to wait until you're 40 or something like that. And now that you know all this stuff, like you said, you might have heard it before, but you never did anything with it. And now you're trying to figure out how I can have options in life. Like it's, don't wait that long. At the same time, if you're listening to this and you are whatever age you are and realize you should make some changes, it's not too late. Just start educating yourself. Yeah, it's never too late. Just start doing the things you need to do to be able to move forward in life. So, Miss Candace, last but not leastly.
Oh, man. Oh, I was over here. I was like, God, what do you want me to tell the people? What are my final words right before we end this Zoom? Well, what I had to write it down because I didn't want to miss anything. And I love what everybody said on tonight. This is some great information. I have to really just thank you, Miss Shirley, for this opportunity, because this was some great information. I pray that everybody who watches this show is truly blessed by it, because they need to make financial changes. And so the thing that I have is leave a legacy. And like Miss Nikki said, generational wealth. Well, you can't do neither one of those if you're broke. So the thing is, you got to change your mindset. I'm piggybacking on everybody, right? Education, right? Well, We need to educate ourselves to know that so that our kids won't get in the government system, that at a young age, how about you creating a college savings fund for your child so that they won't have to get a loan? Or scholarships and grants are good because you don't have to pay those back. But you don't have to get a loan because mama done created what? A generation legacy wealth for you. You don't have to worrying about the government paying for your schooling, right? And then mentorship, right? So that we can pass down future knowledge and education. Right, we can write our own books, right? So that we can pass those down, right? And then also those insurances, right? So that we can teach them how to save and invest. Some people like, I don't know where to put my money. Well, that's why you talk to what? A financial coach. Like Les Brown say, you got to have a coach for everything, right? You got to have a coach, a mentor coach, a motivation. Whatever you have in your life, you got to organize yourself. You got to categorize where you're trying to go to and get people that have already been there to coach you throughout. And so if you don't know, get to know it, right? And then other goals and dreams that you might have. People are dying because they stopped dreaming. They think that, like you say, Miss Shirley, they done waited too late. They're 30s, 40s, 50s. You know, we go by what this world system is. At 30, you got to be married and get kids. At 40, you got to do all of this. No, you go by what's your pace. What is your goals and futures for your life is. Don't worry about what the world is doing. What is you and your family doing? As me and my husband say, what is our atmosphere like, right? You create your own atmosphere for your family, right? You don't worry about nobody else's stuff. You worry about what is you and your family doing to provide a financial future. Where's your last name going to be on? Is it going to be passed down generations to come, or is it going to stop with you? So that's one of the biggest thing is don't wait too late, because the only person that you are hurting is yourself. Thank you, Miss Shirley.
Thank you, and thank everybody. I appreciate everyone saying everything that they said. Everybody's advice was amazing. So I'm just going to close out, and after I close, I want to give everybody a chance to just say how people can. But for me, I'm like you, Candace, I had to write my stuff down. But because I don't want to leave anything out. But for me, my opinion, I believe education is the key to us digging out of this hole. And I don't think bridging the gap is impossible, just like we've already said, but it starts with you and me and our children today. The past is understood, but we can only move forward one foot in front of the other, one step at a time. We can break the cycle of poverty in our community, but first we have to be aware. We have to educate ourselves on the solutions and be accountable and take action. We need to make sure our youth understand at a very young age what it means to be financially sound and that it's possible to be wealthy. It is possible to be wealthy. And if not, at least financially healthy, right? If you plan and prepare. So for everyone who's watching, I challenge you today to decide what you will do to help break the cycle of financial illiteracy, if that's a word. But what are you gonna do to change it? That's my challenge for everyone watching. And before I go around the room and let everybody plug themselves, I am gonna do this again next month, probably around the same time on a Sunday. And we're gonna talk about financial literacy again, but we're gonna talk about the future of money in our community. Because you have all these discussions, people are afraid of currency and all this other kind of stuff. So if you are somebody who is an expert on those topics, please reach out to me, send me a message, and let's get you set up to have this discussion next month. If any of you are interested in coming back and talking about it, I would love to have you again. And so I'll start with Nicole. Just tell everybody what you do and how they can find you if you want to, whatever it is you want people to know about you before we go.
Okay, yes. Hello, everyone. You can find me on Facebook, and my business is called Right Plan, Follow It. I am also on Instagram, same business name, Right Plan, Follow It. I help individuals build their credit score up. I help individuals with a budget, savings. I also help them by managing their finances, by designing a financial organizer, which have many tools in there where it can get you out of debt. And I also sell print logo stickers for businesses. So again, I'm on Instagram and I am on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Miss the Blanks, you can go ahead and plug yourselves real quick. Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, I will first start out. We have a clothing line called Open Book, and Millionaires Coming Soon is a brand that we have that we working on as well. We also do printing and graphics. So if you need marketing, we do business cards, flyers, any marketing websites. We do anything to help take your business to the next dimension.
And also I do financial services. So if you are looking for that financial coach, I am that. So if you want to contact me, it's 832-665-9009, or you can email me at Candace, CANDACE, Blanks, BLANKS, the number 8 @gmail.com. And we have all that you need, from the insurances to the creation of the 401ks, savings and investments, and all the financial needs that you need to acquire wealth and leave a legacy for your children's children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss Monica.
I am the owner of Rich Chick 360 on Facebook. We are Rich Chick 360, Instagram, Rich Chick 360, and we are a business startup training hub for Christian women entrepreneurs. We actually had a successful startup business seminar yesterday, and we're having another master class coming up on September 12th. And you can get the link or check the registration and more information at bit.ly/RC360 Masterclass 1. And then also under that brand, I also own Flav Crave Vegan Cookie Co. So you can also go to flavcrave.com. And then also Rich Chick 360 is richchick360.com.
All right. And that's 360. Okay. Pastor Curt.
Yeah, I'm real easy. It's just you can go to our church website. It's just www.satwc.org. Just the initials of the church, Spirit and Truth Worship Center. So it's just www.satwc.org. Then you can just either contact us or Pastor Curt or info, and just send us an email. And we're more than happy to have a conversation with you or assist you in any way that you need.
Thank you. And Miss Nikki.
Hello. Again, you guys can find me at Women for the Culture. You can find me at Women for the Culture on Instagram as well as Facebook. You can also follow me personally at Nikki for the Culture. We are always interested in connecting with women in business, providing them an outlet to express themselves. We have Women to Watch Wednesdays, where we love to interview women about their business, any tips, pointers that you can get. And we also love to share stories, positive stories, uplifting stories, empowering stories. And you can also shop womenfortheculture.com/shop.
All right. I'm loving hearing all these different things. If you notice, everybody's kind of into something, like not just one. It takes multiple streams of income to become wealthy. Okay, have multiple streams. So I love it, and I appreciate you guys so much for hopping on here and just helping to educate everyone. And I appreciate everybody who has chosen to educate themselves and watch. Please do share this out so that more people can see it and more people can get. There was so much that was said. So yeah, but thank you guys, and everyone enjoy your Sunday. Thank you for watching, and good night.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.